Would you be the jerk for telling off a customer for their child's actions related to their disability? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for threatening to sue my cousin for the damage done to my camper? I, 32-year-old female, bought a camper this summer brand new and had it be custom built. At the moment I hooked it up to an electric panel. I did get the camper cleaned before it was ready to be picked up. The camper can be used to sleep in, but not the shower and toilet. The camper wasn't ready until mid-August, and due to work, I haven't had time to use it. My cousin, 28-year-old female, was visiting this weekend to attend a friend's wedding. She asked if she could stay with me as some hotels nearby are not dog-friendly. She has a 1-year-old pit bull mix that she was bringing. I currently am having some of the house worked on and don't have the guest room available. I offered for her to sleep in the camper as there was a comfortable bed and electricity and heat. I asked her if she would be willing to crate her dog when she wasn't around. She told me that her dog was not crate trained and would be fine. She was in and out of the camper the entire weekend. When she left, I went to check the camper and found the one couch completely chewed up, some pillows destroyed, and some blinds destroyed. There were also spots on the rug that I did my best to clean out. I texted my cousin and demanded that she gave me money towards repairing the things her dog destroyed. She texted back saying that it wasn't her camper and wasn't responsible for the damage. We went back and forth arguing until I told her that I was willing to sue her for the damage. She got upset and told me that she doesn't have the money. My aunt reached out and told me that I was being unfair to cousin and should let it go. My parents are ticked that I'm willing to sue family. Am I the jerk? OP's not the jerk here. If you're gonna bring your dog and try to stay in other people's houses, you're kind of liable for the damage they do. That's like just the most basic level of consideration for other people's things. And, being responsible for your dog. Ghost Forest wrote, "Not the jerk. She owes you whatever it takes to make the camper the condition it was in before she stayed there. Do not let this go. If your aunt is so worried, she can pay you the full amount now and settle it with your cousin on her own terms." Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, am I the jerk for supporting my boyfriend when he told my son, no lock until you're 18? I, female 39, have been with my boyfriend for 4 years. I have a 16-year-old bio son, as well as 2 stepkids, 11 and 13. My son has been complaining about his younger step-siblings entering his room and taking his things constantly and without asking. I tried discussing this with the boys, and my boyfriend punished the boys and told them to ask first before taking anything and return it if taken. But my son said they haven't listened and things went back to how they were. A few days ago, my son came downstairs saying his older stepbrother broke his controller and put it back, and told him he returned it like his dad told him, but the controller was broken. I again went to my boyfriend with this issue and had my son sit and talk directly to him. My son asked him if he could just get a lock for his room to resolve this issue, but my boyfriend didn't welcome the idea and told him no because locks bring troubles to his house. But my son tried to convince him and assured him that he won't use the lock when he's home, but only when he's at school or working. My boyfriend still said no and then told him, no lock until you're 18, period, no more discussion. Thing is, my son will still be living with us because he decided to go to a community college, and my boyfriend told him when he reaches 18, that is when he gets to get a lock and start paying rent and no one will bother him. My son begged me to say something since he couldn't take it anymore after his controller was broken, but I agreed with my boyfriend that as the owner of the house, he gets final say, and no lock means no luck. However, the boys will be facing stricter punishments to enforce the no touching others stuff rule, but my son was having none of it and started yelling at me and my boyfriend, saying his stepbrothers will never respect his privacy and his stuff, no matter how hard their punishment is, since they never learn and are stubborn and will always do whatever they want. He picked an argument with my boyfriend after my boyfriend said he'll pay for the controller, and then my son called me awful for siding with him and refusing to see the blatant injustice in this house, and told us he's reconsidering staying with us after 18. He keeps saying I'm not on his side because if I was, I would be encouraging him to set boundaries and protect his stuff that he buys with his own money. I reminded him of how much my boyfriend helped us. We lost our apartment to debts and my boyfriend took us in 2 years ago. We had nowhere to go, and let him know that he's doing his best to hold the boys accountable. So I think OP's definitely the jerk, and the boyfriend's definitely a huge jerk, because there's no actual argument here. You can't just say, insert X thing brings troubles to his house. Watermelon brings troubles to my home. Those door stoppers near the ground that go brrrr bring trouble to my home. None of those. That doesn't mean anything in regards to locks on a bedroom door. Like, if you're paranoid about something, at least have the guts to just come out and say, like, I'm paranoid, and based off of no evidence, I'm afraid your son is going to, with a lock, all of a sudden start shooting H in his room. I think just about anybody, especially somebody who's 16 years old, deserves to have a lock on their door. I mean, is the only difference between now and 18 that they're going to be paying rent? I mean, what? Is getting a lock on your bedroom door a premium-only feature that you can only get by subscribing to Rent? Mysterious System 680 wrote, "You're the jerk. Your son's privacy is being invaded, and you are choosing to pander to your boyfriend's ego rather than support your son. If your boyfriend won't agree to a lock, the alternative is that your son gets sole discretion to decide how to punish your boyfriend's brats when they invade his space or take his belongings without asking. No limits." Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my sister-in-law to get over herself and accept that she's the only one who is all twisted up over the name her younger sister chose for her baby? I have two sister-in-laws. Husband's older sister is Bethany, and his younger sister is Haley. Haley recently gave birth to a baby boy, and she chose to name her son Ocean. Bethany got all twisted up when she heard the name of our nephew. She tried to talk Haley and her husband out of the name. She said it was dumb, was setting him up for a life of standing out and having a weird name. Haley told her the name was not changing for her. My husband loved the name and told Haley and her husband as much. Bethany then turns to me because my name is Hawthorne, and I'm the only person she knows with a name that isn't exactly common. Also, the only person she knows with a nature or word name that isn't Lily or Rose. So Bethany attempts to use me as an example of why and tells me to tell Haley and her husband what they're doing to their son. I told them it was an awesome name, and it can be awesome having a name that stands out and people don't often hear of. I told them I've always been proud of my name, and I'm sure Ocean will be the same. Bethany then tries to tell me I shouldn't encourage people to give a kid a name that will set them up for hardship. I said people can be jerks, but a lot of people can also really enjoy hearing a name that's new or not super common, and that regardless, you can still love your unusual name regardless of what others think. She told me there's no way my name never bothered me. I told her she can't speak for me. I also told her she needs to get over it and accept that she's the only one who's all twisted up over our nephew's name, and in the future, she better not expect me to lie about stuff in order to side with her. I told her she is perfectly aware I love my name and that I love nature names. My husband told Bethany I was right. Bethany said there was no need to crap all over her and followed that up by saying it was maybe lucky for any kid we might have had that I can't conceive naturally because another kid would end up with a stupid name. My husband was furious with her for that. So was I. But did I start it by calling her out like that? OP's definitely not the jerk. I don't think a name like Ocean is bad at all. Now, it would be really bad if it was like Oshyian. And they turn around saying, oh yeah, that's pronounced Ocean. But like nature names on their own are not like a weird, inconceivable thing. I don't think naming somebody Ocean is setting them up for a life of hardship. Unless they have a hard ship on the ocean. Stirfly93 wrote, not the jerk. People like Bethany are the reason the Oceans and Hawthorns of the world have a hard time. Our next story is, am I the jerk for leaving my stepfather behind in our family vacation? I'm 24-year-old female, currently on a trip with my mother, brother, and stepfather. To shorten the story, I'll go straight to the point. Yesterday, we decided to leave our Airbnb around 8 a.m. because we were taking public transportation to save some money, and also had a guide visit at 9:30 a.m. at the Edinburgh Castle, and according to Google Maps, it would take us around 45 minutes to get there. Everybody got ready in time, except my stepfather Daniel, male 46, who couldn't decide what jacket to wear. That already made us a couple minutes late, but wouldn't miss the bus. He then picked out a very big and heavy red jacket. We all asked him multiple times if he was sure, because the jacket was a lot even to carry around all day. But he was certain. Info: the walking distance from the Airbnb to the bus stop was 10 minutes. We left the house at around 8:10 a.m. and the bus was supposed to arrive at 8:25 a.m. As soon as we arrived at the bus stop, Daniel decided that we were right and the red jacket was too much. Then went back to change, which made us miss the first bus. My brother and I got a little annoyed, but Mom said we had time. Daniel took 15 minutes to return. Then he said he was going back because the jacket he picked now wasn't warm enough. That made us miss the second bus. He came back wearing the exact same jacket because he didn't get to change it because he got lost and couldn't find the house. It's a suburban area and the houses look very similar. At this point, we were all very irritated, but he went back anyway. The third bus was arriving, and my brother and I decided to take it. Mom didn't like it and asked us to wait. We agreed for her, which, guess what? We missed the third bus. Now there was a chance of us being late because it was around 8:45 a.m. at this point. Daniel returned and everything seemed fine. We waited for the bus, and as it got there, Daniel tried to find his phone, but couldn't. He forgot it at home. My brother and I had enough and wouldn't miss this bus. We went ahead and said that we would be meeting them at the castle. They arrived at 10 a.m. and couldn't join the guided tour, but we did. Daniel was upset and said that we had the whole day to visit the castle and wouldn't make a difference at what time we arrived there. Mom supported us, but said she talked with Daniel and he'll apologize if we do the same, but I feel like we didn't do anything wrong. But according to him, we were kind of jerks. I don't want to drag this and ruin the vacation. What do you guys think? Info 2, some people commented that he might have a mental issue. The answer is no. Daniel is completely fine. He actually has a brother with mental disabilities, and when their mother died about a year ago, Daniel took guardianship of him and had to take a few tests ordered by a judge to make sure he is able. Update, thank you all who gave advice. My mother approached us, said she realized we didn't do anything wrong and apologized. Turns out that this wasn't the first time something like this happened. Won't go into much detail about what our mom told us, but Daniel is absolutely terrible at time management and is used to people bending to his will. We've dealt differently and he wasn't expecting that. She sat us down and told him that 1, she already raised her kids and doesn't want to raise a husband. 2, we wouldn't be apologizing because we didn't do anything wrong, unlike him who was disrespectful to our family. 3, if we establish a time and he couldn't be there, we'll be leaving without him. And lastly, she said to think twice about calling her children jerks. Daniel ended up apologizing and promising he would work on his issue. To make up, he paid for another tour to the Highlands. We're excited. Thank you all again. As OP cleared up, unless there was like an actual medical condition that caused him to act like this, OP's obviously not the jerk for A, getting frustrated, and B, deciding enough is enough, I'm going. I mean, why sacrifice the chance to do the thing that you set the entire day aside to do? As an adult with what I assume average adult responsibilities, you don't want a day that you've opened up like this to just get utterly ruined. Garamon7 wrote, "Not the jerk. I didn't know you could have a baby for a stepfather. And seriously, would they let you do the same if you forgot a phone and couldn't decide what to wear?" I suspect the answer is no. Our next story is, am I the jerk for wanting to keep the money my grandmother left me, 27-year-old female, in her estate and not give it to my parents, 60-year-old male, female? My grandmother died, leaving her estate to her 2 sons, my dad's brother, and my brother, 23-year-old male, and I. My dad had estranged my grandmother for the last 15 years of her life, but my brother and I maintained a relationship with her. In her will, she specifically noted that she was giving the share of her estate that would have otherwise gone to my father to my brother and I, divided in 2. My parents have been extremely adamant that this money is theirs, that my father should have never have been written out of the will as the money was his birthright. My mom has told me that this money is the only thing that will give my dad his dignity back, so that he is of equal value to his 2 brothers who received money. My grandmother wronged them, and from their perspective, she did this to get back at them. I've dealt with my uncles and the lawyers of the estate the past 2 years as all of this is unfolded. I maintained a relationship with my grandmother up until her last day. I visited her while she was in palliative care. My father did not. He sent a text message to her through my cell phone during her last week. My father and mother have cut me off from the rest of my extended family, both on my dad's side and my mom's side. All for reasons I still don't entirely understand, as I was very young when it happened. They've told me a bit about why this happened, but it's been very surface level. They say it was because the family judged them beyond reasons that were reparable. When speaking to my parents about wanting to give them some money, but keep some for my future and to help me pay off my student loans, they responded by telling me that I'm not poor enough for this money. I don't eat Kraft dinner every night. I have a full-time job, and my level of stress financially is incongruent with my spending habits. Also, that I have trouble seeing things from a different perspective, because if I understood why my dad needed this money to retain his dignity, I wouldn't be fighting this. They also desperately financially need this money. My dad is unemployed, and my mom only has her pension for them both. I am worried my dad will cut me out if I don't give him my entire share of the estate. My brother is scared of losing my parents, that he's just decided to give them the entirety of his share. I'm trying to stand my ground. I love my parents. I just want them to have some accountability for everything that's happened, and that I maintained a relationship with my grandma, and that means something. They are adamant that money is theirs, and I'm only being given it because they allowed me to have a relationship with her and didn't cut me off from her. I feel guilty that I will not be maintaining my grandmother's wishes, but I also don't want to lose the only family that I have left. I think if OP chose not to give the money, they're not the jerk. Ultimately, if they do decide to give them the money, they're still not the jerk the other way. I've said it before, but as far as inheritance goes, I think if something is intentionally given to you, once it's in your possession, it's yours. Unless there was some legitimate illegal things that the courts will look at and say, oh, well, this was wrongfully done. It's yours to do with. It's not anybody else's. Nobody else deserves it. They said they specifically wanted it to go to you. Crystal Queen 3000 wrote, not the jerk. It's not your dad's birthright. Your mother decided who she wanted her estate to go to, and it wasn't him. Stand your ground. Don't let his greed change your mind. This next story is, am I the jerk for showing my brother how much he's overeating? My 21-year-old male brother, 20-year-old male, is overweight, about 200 pounds at 5'10", and my family wants him to lose weight. They enlisted my help with this over spring break because according to them, A, I'm very fit and a personal trainer, so I have personal experience. B, I'm a pre-med, so I have some level of academic knowledge on this. I told them it would be better to consult a doctor, or better yet, a nutritionist, but they said I should at least try. I first asked him if that's what he wants, and he agreed. I told him the key for weight loss is caloric deficit. Doing cardio will also help, but a caloric deficit of, say, 500 calories off what he needs to maintain his current weight plus cardio will burn even more together. I did the calculations to figure out how many calories he should be eating per day. There's multiple ways to calculate it, so I ran different calculations, and since they all came out to similar results, I just averaged them. I told him how to measure his calories and then let him do that. He came to me a week later saying my methods were wrong because he checked his weight and he actually gained 2 pounds. I told him this was quite literally impossible if he was following the caloric restriction. Doctors haven't reported any illnesses that could cause weight gain or prevent weight loss, and I haven't noticed any symptoms of any such diseases. So in that case, eating less quite literally would have to mean weight loss. He insisted he was doing everything right, so I told him to just show me everything he ate during the next day. He agreed. The next day I saw his issue right away. He was eating what he assumed to be small portions and thus was underestimating the calories. For example, he ate 2 slices of pizza and estimated it was 200 calories because it was only 2 slices, and ate a scoop of ice cream and estimated it as 50 calories. I tallied up the actual amount of calories he was eating, and he was eating 1,000 more than he needed to maintain his weight, or in other words, 1,500 more than the amount he's supposed to eat to lose weight. I told him the science doesn't lie on this and it's clear he's eating too much to lose weight. I proceeded to tell him that he doesn't have to lose weight if he doesn't want to, but if he does, the amount he's eating is too much. He got angry at this and called me the jerk. I don't think that's fair. I asked him at every turn if he wanted to do this and he said he did, so I wasn't forcing something on him he didn't want. Am I the jerk? Honestly, I think as long as OP was polite about it, they weren't saying it in any way that really should be perceived as judgmental, then they're just telling them facts. Anytime the topic of weight loss comes up around me, I always like to tell people it's basically calories in, calories out. Realistically, you can get by eating pizza and burgers and ice cream as long as the amount of it is less than your daily calorie maintenance level. Thing is, if you're going to count calories, you gotta be pretty honest about it and you gotta be pretty accurate about it. Honestly, I think the real problem here is he chose pizza. If you're trying to lose weight and count calories, from my experience, pizza is just about the worst choice to make. A large pizza on its own can easily be 3,000 to 4,000 calories. Rain Mist wrote, your brother needs to go to a doctor who actually knows what they're doing and talking about to better understand. Not the jerk for getting him started though. Your family are the jerks for not helping him the right way. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling off a customer at work for her autistic son's stim? I, 23-year-old female, work at a grocery store as a cashier. Over the summer, I was temporarily located to the garden department in the parking lot, which I've been doing every year for 3-ish years. We have a regular whose son, around 6 to 8, has autism. Apparently, one of his stims is spraying bottles, like the cleaning kind. I didn't know this until this incident. Our setup for the garden area till is kind of a U or C shape. We have a cart with the till so it can be taken inside overnight and 2 tables bolted together. One table has a shelf underneath where we keep various paper towels and cleaning stuff, including a bottle of diluted bleach, as well as bags for customers buying non-plant items, pots that customers have brought back for recycling, garden gloves for the employees, etc. Around the whole thing is a table skirt that's attached to the table. I really have no say in the setup beyond moving things around on the shelf. Anyway, one day this mom brought her kid in. I saw him trying to reach around the table legs to the cleaning supplies. So I moved them down the shelf closer to me and told him those bottles are for cleaning, not for touching, and asked him to please leave them alone. Then I got started scanning his mom's stuff. Out of nowhere, a bunch of droplets hit my sunglasses and cheeks. I looked up and the kid had pulled the table skirt, which was zip-tied tightly to the table, away, stuck his arm through, grabbed the bottle of bleach, and started spraying it around. I quickly grabbed it from him as his mom laughed and reminded me he's autistic and said he has a spray bottle of water at home that he likes to spray people with. This is where I might be the jerk. I told her that first off, she shouldn't be encouraging him to spray people with anything without their consent, and second, that wasn't water, it was bleach. And they were both lucky I was wearing sunglasses because I could have gone blind. She was really offended and again tried to tell me he was autistic. I said that may be an excuse for him to not realize, but she needs to be paying closer attention to her kid in public places if he's going to do stuff like that. She hasn't brought her kid in since. I feel bad because he was a nice kid and I don't know how much help she has at home, but I still feel like what I said was true. Am I the jerk for telling off the mom of an autistic child and prompting her to stop bringing him back? Edit. So my post got shared over on r/amitheangel and people think it's fake, so to clear some things up, this story is 100% real. I wish it weren't. I wish I haven't had several people tell me I shouldn't have gone off on her. I wish she had had the forethought to bring a spray bottle. I really wish. She still comes in. She just comes in alone. Yes, I did inform management. My direct supervisor that day thought it was funny that I went off on her. My manager didn't care about any of the situation. These are the same people who let a customer harass and touch me for an entire shift. Yeah, that happened. And literally just made me stand there and take it. No one spoke to him. No one offered to move me to another station. No one did anything except stand back and laugh. I'm quitting this summer after I graduate from university. Woo. OP's not the jerk here. I'm not going to pretend to be any kind of expert in dealing with matters like this. From what I've heard, what I've seen people say, they should be discouraging stuff like that. The fact that it is a stim isn't an excuse to just allow them to do that. That realistically that kind of behavior should be curbed. And OP is absolutely right in the fact that if it can't be controlled, and you know that they have that stim and they're likely going to do it if there's a spray bottle somewhere, they should be watching their kid more closely. Apple Amaretto wrote, "Autistic mom of an autistic kiddo here, you are not the jerk. Stims serve an important purpose in our lives, but there are limits and this is so far beyond what is acceptable and understandable. That mom is also not doing her child any favors by not educating him on when and where it's okay to spray bottles, i.e. only at home and or where you know for a fact that what's in it is safe. Or one day, it'll be his own eyes he sprays with bleach." Our next story is, am I the jerk for backing out of my best friend's bachelorette trip because my boyfriend needed me? 6 months ago, my 24-year-old female best friend Tess, 26-year-old female, asked me to be her maid of honor for her wedding. We've been friends for years now and I love her a lot. She's always been there for me and we've been through a lot together. The one thing Tess was the most excited for was her bachelorette. She's been talking about it even before she got engaged, which is why I feel so guilty. I also helped her plan our Vegas trip, and we were supposed to leave this week. But a few days ago, Jason got laid off of work. Even though he saw it coming, it hit him hard. He's just stressed and really upset. He didn't even tell me at first because he didn't want me to be worried, but when he finally told me, I just knew I couldn't go anymore. I was really conflicted. And I knew what this meant to Tess and that I'm the maid of honor, but I just couldn't even consider going to Vegas while Jason is this upset. He's a strong guy, but I felt like he shouldn't go through this alone. I worked up the courage to call Tess, and it just went so much worse than I planned. Tess thought that I was joking first, and then she just became really angry, which is understandable, but I wish she understood my situation too. Tess at first told me to do whatever and cut the call. She didn't respond when I tried contacting her again. After that, she sent me a lot of messages saying that I'm stealing her special day and started questioning why I accepted to be the maid of honor if I didn't want to do the duties that came along with it. She said I'm untrustworthy and jealous, that I'm ruining her special moment for a guy I've only known for a year. I'll admit, I usually don't accept Tess's offers to go clubbing, and she blames that on Jason being controlling, but in reality, I've explained that I just turned into a homebody because I never really enjoyed that stuff in the first place. I still go out with her a lot, I make sure I'm there for her, but for her bachelorette, I was willing to do that and more. I really did want to go and make it special. She told me that her whole plan will fall through because I was the one with the plan. I told her I'll explain it all to one of our other friends, but she said I don't have to because I'm no longer her friend. That hurt a lot to hear. On one hand, I don't regret my decision. Jason needs me and Tess should understand how difficult this is for us. But also, this is a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and she's been dreaming about it since forever. I'm also the one who planned a lot of the stuff. Our mutuals also reached out to let me know that Tess was very angry and that what I did was not cool. Now I'm doubting myself, and I need to know if I have to apologize. I obviously can't ask anyone I know. Jason thinks I'm right, and I'm sure Derek and the bridesmaids think Tess is right, so that's why I made this post. Thank you if you're trying to help me. I don't want to marginalize and just outright dismiss Jason's feelings here, but it just seems like a bit much when this is something that was once in a lifetime, was a commitment you made a long time ago, was something you had a major hand in, and you drop it all because he's upset he got fired, on top of a job he saw himself getting fired from being an inevitability. If it was a death in the family, if his pet died, I would understand. But this just seems like a bit much for what comes down to what, a weekend trip to Vegas? New friend 836639 wrote, I'm sorry, but you're the jerk. Jason can manage himself for a weekend without you, even if he is sad about something. He is a big boy and he can make plans with other friends and family and take care of himself while you're gone. You bailed on your good friend to just sit home and hold his hand. I think you owe your friend a huge apology. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not telling my boyfriend I won money 15 years ago? I don't know what I did wrong or if what I did was wrong and I need some advice. I didn't want to post this on my real account because I'd like to be as anonymous as possible. My boyfriend, 35-year-old male, and I, 35-year-old female, were discussing finances as we wanted to be on the same page. My boyfriend moved in with me unexpectedly 3 months ago as his landlord decided to move into the property with his family. We were discussing finances and the topic of how I own my place came up. Not a lot, but enough to be able to put myself through nursing school, purchase my home, and have some savings back in 2009, and bought my place outright and then rented it out until I moved back into it in late 2018. Obviously, I had some luck on my side as this was right in the middle of the recession, so I got my place for real cheap. He says I deceived him by giving him the impression that I was a financially well-off and that I led him to believe I was more business savvy than I was. I don't know how I did that because I literally work as a nurse, make decent money, fully own my home, fully own my car, have decent retirement plans and decent savings. I'm fairly certain that I'm financially better off than most people I know. He says that he can't trust me anymore and that he was stupid to have listened to my financial advice. But the thing is, I never gave him any financial advice, except for telling him not to buy a car that was, in my opinion, unreliable and much too expensive. Did I deceive him by not telling him how I got myself financially stable? For your information, we've been dating for almost a year and a half. Edit, I just had another very weird conversation with him, and I honestly can't wrap my head around it. Yeah, so he is definitely a gold digger. He asked me how much I have in savings and seemed impressed with how much, and then said maybe he reacted too aggressively. Then asked/told me that he still wants the car I advised him not to get. He hinted at me getting it for him as a birthday present since it's his birthday in early March. I am definitely dumping him. Going to wait till my 2 sisters and my 2 brother-in-laws can come over before I break up with him in case he reacts crazy. Well, I guess OP kind of figured it out for themselves where this guy kind of lands. Basically with a nice big bow, not the jerk. Armawa wrote, not the jerk. This feels like jealousy on his part, so he's lashing out. Out of interest, how long have you 2 been together? Because this kind of information can take a while to disclose. If you were together when you won the money and hid it from him, that might be a different argument. Also, you are financially savvy because you got a windfall and didn't waste it. Well done you. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.